Good day and welcome to this special live broadcast from NAC TV in downtown Neepawa. I'm Ken Waddell, publisher of the Neepawa Banner and Press, and happy to have with me today Mayor Blake McCutcheon of the town of Neepawa, and we're going to be talking about the state of emergency that was declared over the past few days here in Neepawa. We thought it was important to bring an update to all our viewers in Neepawa and around the region, to let them know the status of the state of emergency, some of the things that led up to calling for a state of emergency or declaring a state of emergency, and how it all unfolded, and some of the events, that somewhat actually heroic events that took place, as well as some of the ideas about what now going forward, because there's been huge damage to infrastructure and some damage to homes in Neepawa. So Mayor McCutcheon, thank you for joining us today. I know you've been very busy, not only with town duties, but I understand your house was one of the homes that was damaged. You have
that's correct. Yeah, no, we were part of that Walker Street that the water came through on. So yeah, no, it's been an interesting time. I mean, I was just sitting here thinking, we started off with COVID-19 back in March, and we thought, okay, wow, this is going to be an interesting 220 year, and then at the end of June here, we've showed up with a state of emergency in the town of Neepawa over water. So yeah, I mean, we got lots going on. And as you say, towards, I think Sunday, right? Sunday, June the 28th, Ken? I think that was right, eh? That's when the first rain started to fall, eh? And it just getting worse and worse. And then, of course, on not July 1st, but June 30th, right? That's when we had the big 3.5 to 4 inches. And you know what? The town was out all night that night. They were out and they were about, and Denis and the crews had been around, and they were looking at everything, and they were pretty comfortable that they were good to go, and they actually went home to bed on June the 3rd. Oh, actually, that would be July the 1st in the morning, about 5 o'clock. They actually all went home to bed, and then, of course, at 7:15, Park Lake broke.
Who discovered that it broke? Who was on hand to see that?
That's a good question. I've never been told that, Ken. I don't know.
7:30, I think, is the time I was told that actually broke.
I know Eve Gillis was made aware. I know Eve was one of the first people that was made aware of it as the fire chief. I know he was aware of it right away. But yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I don't know. But I mean, once that broke, we were hooped, right? I mean, sandbags weren't going to do anything for that.
No, it's a huge breach. If you've they don't want a lot of people down there looking around, but I have to admit I've been one that go down there and take some pictures for the paper. Yeah. My excuse is I'm taking pictures for the paper. And as a warning too, if you are working or going into anywhere, there's a work area going on right now, be very, very careful. There's some big trucks, loaders, bulldozers operating down in that area and east of the water treatment plant. But if you walk sort of south from the water treatment plant along the walking trail there and go around to the breach in the Park Lake Dam, it's got to be a couple hundred feet wide, like it's huge.
Yeah, that's huge.
And so just a little bit of ancient history just for a minute. People say Park Lake. Well, what's Park Lake? Well, Park Lake is where Rotary Park is, and Park Lake is where the bird sanctuary is, but why was it ever put there in the first place? And as near as we can determine, Park Lake was put in place around 1900 to form a retention pond or lake from the Stony Creek, and it was there as a water source for the town of Neepawa, as far as we know. And in fact, I was told that up until about even a few years ago, when the town switched over to the wells at Hummerston, that there was still a pipe into the lake that they could draw water from Park Lake if they had to in an emergency, although I don't think anybody would really want to be drinking the water out of Park Lake. Then when the town switched over from Lake Irwin to the wells at Hummerston, they, of course, cut that line off. But Park Lake was put there also for another important reason. It was as a supply of water for a steam electrical generator plant. And if you look at the Neepawa Land of Plenty green history book, there is a picture there of the steam generator plant. It's on about the same site as the water treatment plant is right now. And the picture is from 1915. But as far as we know, the plant was put in place in 1900 or very early 1900. In the chronology in the front of the green book, it says 1900 for steam-generated electricity for the town of Neepawa. So that's why Park Lake was there. If you go down there today, you can see the old riverbed still roaring away there, but the actual lake part is pretty much mud flats right now. So the pelicans are very confused about where they should fish. Anyway, so take us pick up the story again at on Wednesday morning. Canada Day. Happy Canada Day.
I know, exactly. Yeah, no, people were wondering if we were going to have fireworks. Well, we didn't have fireworks, but we did have lots going on. So yeah, so that street, and I live on that street. So I mean, people were Walker Avenue. Yeah. So we were getting called by about 8 o'clock in the morning. People were calling, saying, "Okay, I got water." So what happened was, of course, the water, because it was coming from Park Lake, it came down the street. So I mean, I've lived on that street for 40 years, and that's the first time I've ever seen water on the street. I mean, it's always gone behind us before. So once that started to happen, we were busy. So I mean, everybody on that east side, starting with Kyle Ford and working all the way down to Francis Brown there, we've all got water in our basements. Kyle, by far, was hit the worst, of course. And then on the other side of the street, there was just a couple of houses, well, no, that's not true. There was 3 houses there too. And the worst was Councillor Pudlow on that side of the street. He took 2.5 feet of water in his basement.
Oh, it went across? Okay,
yeah,
I didn't realize that.
No, it took, Murray Watson's, Darren Pudlow's, and Joyce Kingdom's. Those 3 all got water in their basement.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So,
now,
but we're not sure whether the water. So we lost the lift station too, right? So
okay,
yeah. So
it's back running now.
Yeah, it's back running now. Yeah, they've got it sandbagged, and so the decision was made then. I mean, and again, I guess that's where you can start talking about the community, because the call went out, right, for a tremendous amount of people to come and sandbag and start to see what they could do, and that was a pretty phenomenal day to see, Ken. I mean, once that call went out on Facebook, I mean, and the sandbags at the end of the day, they might have done a little bit of good, but I mean, still, at times we'd probably have 10 half-tons backed up on Walker Street there with sandbags just waiting to unload. I mean, the community just came together, right? It was just tremendous how many people were down there. The Phillip community was there. We had people from Burnie. We had people from the Hutterites. We had people in the Mennonite community. Like, it was unbelievable. It was pretty special. But then we realized, I mean, that wasn't going to work. I mean, the sandbags were going to do nothing. So then they started bringing in just truckload after truckload of dirt, right? And that's where they've started to build now. They've started to build that berm. And if anyone's been down there, which a lot of people have been, they can see now we've started to build it from kind of the edge of the water treatment plant there. And it's going to go around Kyle Ford's, and it's going to go right down, right past my house, and it'll end at the lift station, which is Francis Brown's house.
Yeah.
So that whole thing is going to get built up. It'll be a permanent berm, and I guess we'll see how that works out. And of course, then we moved over to Mill Street, and that was the other spot that we had water problems down there. And there was 3 to 5 houses affected there. And again, that berm has been built and completed. So that's done. Denise telling me that back to my end of town that berm will be completed by the weekend. So I mean, that's pretty spectacular that they've done that much work in that quick a time. Obviously, we had a lot of water pushed through. It had nowhere to go, so it went out into Riverbend Park. And I mean, then it went under the Hamilton Street Bridge there. We had some concerns there. And then, of course, we had some concerns at Highway 16 with the bridge there. We had concerns with the bridge on Highway 5. But those all seem to have been resolved. The highways have done a great job of looking at taking care of those. And our bridge on Hamilton Street, it seems to be holding fine. In terms of evacuations, it wasn't as bad as we thought it was going to be. We thought we were going to have to take a lot of people, evacuate a lot of people, but at the end of the day, on July the 1st, we actually set up a center at the Yellowhead Arena. We ended up registering 122 individuals. The majority of those were coming from the condos there on the golf course road there. And they were asked to leave not because they were getting water, but because they were going to be cut off. There was no way for them to go once that water flowed over the bridge. So we got them out, and the golf course individuals out there, that community out there, they were cut off for a while. But and then in my end of town, at the end of the day, once they got the the lift station going again. Actually, I believe there was only 2 people that weren't able to go back into their homes that same night. So everybody had water in their basements, but it wasn't terrible. But there was 2 that had to stay out. I think as of today, we are down to just 2 out. I think there are just 2 people not living in their houses. Again, just going back to that day, I mean, we had some pretty spectacular generosity by people. We had over 40 businesses who donated equipment, personnel, money, food. I mean, we had over 100 individuals that supported food. I mean, we had 9 restaurants that donated food. I mean, you know, I think that's interesting, Kim, and I'm sure you're aware of that too, right? I mean, we always have these things where, you know, whether it be our streets or other things we're discussing that we're not happy with, or we'd like to see more things done. But when a crisis like this comes, I mean, that's all just gone, right? And the community just comes together, and the people they just become one, right? They all just step up. And Jody Baker was telling me she was making phone call after phone call, and she said she never had one person say no. Like, they just said, "What do you want? What do we need to do? Where do you want me?" Like, it's I think that's always what's remarkable about small communities, right? And I know we're getting to be a big community. We're getting close to 6,000 people, but there's still something about rural Manitoba when it comes to the way we step up.
Yeah, no, it was pretty amazing, and I felt guilty. I had to go out to the public works place there, and I personally wasn't going to load sandbags because I'm awaiting a small hernia surgery, and I thought that wouldn't go down too well. But and I am 72, for crying out loud, but anyway, whatever. But I did have to get a message there to Denis. We've mentioned Denis a couple of times. Denis Saquet is the operations manager for the town of Neepawa. And they had to get a message to him because an out-of-town agricultural dealer wanted to send in some tote bags. These are very large canvas bags that you can put seed or fertilizer or sand into, and I don't know if they got used or not, but by the time I got out there and tracked Denis down and got him a cell phone for a minute, because he was a very busy guy, they had made contact and the totes were coming in. Now, whether they were used or not, I don't know, but going back a little bit again in history, when I was in office in your position in 2000 roughly, there was a time when the Park Lake Dam almost broke. In fact, it very, very close to breaching. Some water came out of it, but it never did get as high as it is now. So people might ask, what's the difference? Well, one of the differences, I think, and we haven't tracked this down for sure, although you may well know, but Park Lake is on Stony Creek, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and Stony Creek, I think, flows through the Hutterick colony at Spring Hill, and they have a reservoir on the creek as well, something like Park Lake, but
yep.
I'm sure it's a lot cleaner and deeper, because they use it for water supply for the colony. I don't know if it's domestic water or not. I haven't had a chance to find that out, but for livestock watering and fire control and whatever. And that dam burst as well, I understand. So that would have put a tremendous extra surge of water down the stream and into Park Lake, which caught everybody off guard. So it was the extra surge that took out the berm. The spillway held. The spillway is still there. But it's interesting that it appears that the breakout was exactly on the path of the old river.
That's exactly correct, and we can see that from the pictures we're getting from the drone. That's exactly right. Yeah,
it's the old. Yeah. Who knew? I mean, I had no idea. Nobody has seen the bottom of Park Lake, I don't think, since 1900. Yeah. So we have mud sticking out there that hasn't seen sunlight for 120 years. Yeah. But anyway, that's what was interesting that happened there. But yeah, I've got some more interesting.
Well, that's
history
what they're. But you're going back to what you're saying, Ken. That's right, and that's the information we're being given now from the Water Services Board. Is that every time we're getting Stony Creek now with because it's coming from Mountain Road and it's coming, like they say, it's a drop of about 600 feet, and they say that you're right. There was a lot of natural barriers along the way. Actually, there was a lot of beaver dams. But with all the rain we've had, every time we get one of these surges, there's one more thing that's being knocked out. So we have less and less resistance as it's coming, and you're exactly right. That's what happened that last time on July the 1st. They just boom, it was here, and that's going to be an ongoing problem. Like if we do get any other, and Environment Canada is telling us they don't think it's going to be any huge amounts of rain. They're going to sit over us for a couple hours, but there is going to be lots of active weather over the next 72 hours. But that's the problem we're going to have, right? Every time that water comes through, it's got less resistance, so it's going to move more quickly. And we're hopeful, like again at the water treatment end of town there, that water is now, the berm's going to hold it, but it might now actually send it across Highway 5. We don't know that, right? Depending on how much comes. So yeah, I mean that's good old water, right? It goes where it wants to go.
Oh yeah, it finds the finds the lowest spot.
Yeah.
Lake Irwin, or Lake, pardon me, not Lake Irwin, Park Lake, as we say, got that tremendous surge, and that's why it was unprecedented. I've lived in the community or in the area for be 50 years in January, so 49 years plus. You've been here well over 40 years.
Yep.
And neither of us have seen this kind of surge before and this amount of damage. It was interesting, the first rain that came, I think, on the Saturday, we were talking about it on Monday, and of course, my reporters, they've gone out and they take pictures of everything, and everybody takes a picture of Stony Creek School, and you know, the water is right up to it. I said, no, this is the foundation still above, it'll be fine. Normally it is fine, but I don't think it's fine now. I imagine there was a bit of water in the school, maybe quite a bit.
Yeah, there was.
I don't imagine anybody's been in there to check
not
it
that
out
I know
yet.
of. No,
I don't think you can even get to it, but that's maybe a minor problem, but there certainly will be damage to the little museum in the school there. Hopefully none of the artifacts were damaged, but whatever. So that surge came through, and you're absolutely right about the beaver dams and everything. And when it happens in the springtime, you have some ice holding things back, and the ground isn't. It maybe doesn't absorb as much water because it's frozen. But in the spring, it's a little slower sometimes coming through. There was no warning at all. It was like pulling the plug on a bathtub.
That's exactly correct. That's a good way of describing it.
Yeah. So anyway, going forward, I guess. In case we run out of time towards the end of the program, we get talking about future stuff. Maybe we talked about doing it at the end, but maybe Blake, you could. I know you have some thank yous you want to give to staff.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
All the
No,
people
just
around.
like I mentioned before, I mean, the community that we live in, it's pretty spectacular. And I mean, I'll start with the people that I guess get paid to work for the town. I mean, our administration staff and all the town workers. I mean, everybody was there. They worked
on a holiday.
On a holiday, and I mean, they were there at 7 in the morning, and they didn't go home till. Well, I don't think Denis ever did go to bed. Councillor Gerard, I saw him. I don't think he ever went to bed. Yeah, no, we had just tremendous support there. And then you move into the fire department. I mean, they were all there. They were all available. Eve and his crew were everywhere we needed them. Mark Morehouse, our RCMP, they were there. They were around, everything we needed there. And then you slide into our volunteers in the community, right? I mean, everybody stepped up, and there was just... yeah, I mean, there's just too many people to thank. I know I'd miss somebody, but the whole community just stepped up, and it was spectacular. And yeah, no, we were again, just what I said before. It's always impressive how a small community comes together when something like this happens.
Well, I'm glad you went through that list, but also I think on behalf of the community, Blake, and I know you're a bit of a shy and humble guy, but I saw a fairly old guy who was our mayor out there for a lot of hours, working very, very hard, and taking a lot of pressure from a lot of different sources. So thank you for
thanks, Ken.
you've done a great job, and I think the whole council and the town staff, and I should say the fire department and the whole community's done a tremendous job. So some of the things that were happening during the whole process that were kind of behind the scenes, I'll just relay. We can discuss this one a little bit, and you wouldn't have even known that I was involved in this, but I showed up down at the corner there of where Walker's in 3 or 4 pieces in this town.
Yeah, it is.
The Walker portion down by the swimming pool, and Colleen Sanjishan, the CEO, and our sergeant Mark Morehouse were in the truck there as a bit of a mobile command headquarters, and they're talking about what to do with the Hamilton Street Bridge, because there was some talk about having to breach that road to let the water away faster from south of there. And but one of the big problems that people may not realize was if they breached that road, the fiber optic cable that runs everything in Canada goes through that road. They used to tell me that if you cut that fiber optic cable, not only do you lose phone and internet and all kinds of services for the town of Neepawa, but all the towns east and west of here. And one time I was told even you'd shut down the Toronto Stock Exchange. That maybe wouldn't be a bad idea, but anyway, it's thousands and thousands of dollars worth of damage if you cut one of those fiber optic cables. The conundrum was if they didn't cut the road and the bridge went, it might take the fiber optic cable with it when the pilings went. So they fortunately didn't have to cut the road, although the water cut the road itself, right?
Yeah.
The actual pavement is broken.
It's broken, but it is drivable again now, Ken. But you're right, it did. Yeah, no. Mark said he took his car across, and he said, "Well, if I can cross it," he says, we're good to go." So
yeah, well, I guess if we lost a police officer in a car, Mark, really?
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway. Yeah, but that's just one of the many decisions that had to be agonized with. Do you cut the road? Do you not? Do you cut phone cable?
Yeah.
Do you cut fiber optic?
They actually there was a quick discussion on whether they were going to cut Highway 5 or not, too, actually. That discussion did come up, and but that, again, they made that decision not to, but...
Yeah, it's a tough decision. Yeah, the history of flood fighting goes back a long way in my lifetime, because when I came here in 1971, well, in 73, I moved to Gladstone as ag rep there. In the mid-70s, we were fighting the flood every spring, it felt like, down there. But some berms were built at that time and to protect the town. The worst flood in Gladstone, I think, was in the spring of 70 before I came here. They just about lost the town because Highway 16, it looked like Highway 16 wasn't going to hold it back. And so there's been a lot of experience with these kind of things over the years. So right now we've got another practical problem going. The road to Evergreen Environmental, where all the recycling and the garbage goes, is cut.
That's correct.
And so Evergreen's not accessible right now.
That's correct.
How long before that?
You know what? I've had that conversation this morning, and they are couching it in terms of we were hopeful before then, but right now they are saying Monday morning that they think they will be operational for sure, and they're using that as their date that they will be up and running, but they're hoping maybe a little sooner than that. But yeah, that's what they're saying, Monday. And they say all the other roads around it are fairly compromised too, so they're really recommending that no one go out there. So so that's what I've been told. So I'm hoping people will listen to that, and I'm sure there might be the occasional back road in there, but I think they would just appreciate it if everybody just stayed away. And I know it's a tough time because with the flood and lots of damage and lots of stuff coming out of people's houses, and like even at our end of town, the town is showing up, and good for the town. They've come with 4 big dumpsters, and I mean they're filling up pretty quickly, and eventually they'll have to move them. But Monday's not that far away. So
no. So the road going down from Highway 16 to Evergreen is the one that's compromised.
Yeah, there was a culvert that blew there someplace along there. Yeah,
it's not a cut that you're going to step over or anything like that. It's a fairly substantial thing.
Yeah, no.
Well, I've been. Everybody, I guess, has been out there into the country to see and all the creeks are just flowing absolute record levels. So it's
going to be we were just sitting in on a conference call yesterday, and I just left one when I came here, and I mean the tremendous amount of damage that's been done out in Minneodana and Langford and Rosedale, and I mean there's bridges, there's culverts, I have no idea. I mean it's going to be hard to imagine how much money and how much manpower is going to have to be put in to get these roads ready. And I mean, I know this is only the first, just starting in July, but I mean, they're already talking whether they're not sure they can get a lot of these roads back for school buses if school gets underway and it's, in its regular format. Like, it's just tremendous the damage that's gone on out there.
Well, I understand there's a lot of roads cut in Minto-Odana and North Cypress-Langford.
Yes.
And certainly a lot in Rosedale.
Yep.
Now, Rosedale is somewhat used to that because let's face it, there's a tremendous change in elevation from
Yes.
Highway 5 to
Yep.
Mountain Road.
Yes.
For example, And so they've had a lot of times over the years where they've had a lot of roads have been cut after a severe storm. But they're we were saying before we went on air, Blake, that you're looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars here in Neepawa for the damage. Have you been told, and I don't remember, and probably the rules have changed, there's a certain percentage that the town should get back from the province or the feds on this?
That's right, and I'll be honest, Ken, I don't know that number, but obviously that's one of the reasons why that state of emergency gets called, because that does kick that funding into place. And you're right, there's going to be just tremendous infrastructure money here. I mean, we haven't even talked about that yet. That Park Lake Bridge was knocked out, going to the bird sanctuary. And I mean, we did have an estimate on that going back a couple of years to replace it, because it's a pretty narrow bridge, and it was $1.5 million back 2 years ago. So I can't imagine what it would be now. So yeah, I mean, that's just one item. The berm that's being built at Mill Street, the berm that's being built down by the water treatment plant, the damages that's being done in Riverbend Park. Again, talking about Denis says he's worried about some of the roads have been compromised. Streets in our town have been compromised with the heavy trucks on them, and they were so wet. That's something we're going to have to start looking at. Like, I don't think any of this is even going to really start to be addressed till next week. We need to get through this initial crisis. We need to get, hopefully, Environment Canada's right, that the weather that's coming is moving quick, and yes, it does hold some rain, but it's not going to be tremendous. And we're going to skate through this weekend. They're showing next week is a little better. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're just starting to assess the financial damage. You're right.
So a question that has come up on Facebook and in person a lot, and it will be no doubt we'll be talking about it here on NAC TV and in the Neepawa Banner and Press, and that is, the bird sanctuary is safe, right?
Bird sanctuary is safe. It's just that we can't get to it from the Park Lake Road. So we're right now in the process of working with Hydro and trying to get a trail put in behind there through, I guess that would be Bray's property, and get some type of trail in there. There is one house back in there, and the bird sanctuary, yes.
And if you go down there, you can see that the bird sanctuary is certainly high and dry, but you can't really see it from the water treatment plant, but you can see where it's at. So
yes,
the birds and animals are safe, and that's certainly a consideration. The other thing is that as far as we know, there was no injuries, I don't think.
We've heard zero. No,
Yeah.
That's exactly correct. And we talked about that, right? I mean, yes, tremendous property damage, but I mean, that's just, at the end of the day, that's money and time. But yeah, no, from people, we're good. Everybody's safe.
I've heard of a few blisters and a few sore backs and
Yeah.
and some sore muscles
Yeah.
from because sandbags aren't light, and there was just to go back to the sandbagging thing for a bit at the Public Works where they have the big tent where the sand was in it
Yeah.
and everything. That was just unbelievable the way that coordinated out with people just stepping up, and some people who have had some experience with managing groups of people stepped up and directed traffic, and there's telehandlers out there loading the pallets, and they brought pallets in from a number of different places.
They did, yes.
Yeah. And they brought then a truck would go out with a pallet load, and then it would come back. They'd take the pallet off, reload it, and circulate it back through. So I know that Perry Stead was running a telehandler there.
Yes, he
and there was
yeah.
others running telehandlers and loaders there. It was quite amazing. But,
And I should take a moment, Ken, that reminds me, I should say that because we were running short of sandbags, and we were looking around, and actually I phoned Scott Kinley, Mayor Kinley in Gladstone, and he went and looked, and he said, well, we got 8,000 bags here, he said, well, I don't want to give them all away because that water's coming our way, but he did give us 4, and he personally drove them down here. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, so Scott drove them down here, and as it turns out, Denis just told me this morning we gave him back 5,000 today, and we actually did get an additional 30,000 bags, and I think we now have 25,000 sitting in reserve, so we're in good shape. But yeah, again, that just talks about the community. You phone around, and people go, "Yeah, no, we'll help you out, and here's what we can do for you." So,
well, I know the dam bursting at Park Lake put a little more fear in people's hearts about a few other things. They're watching the Rivers Dam as we speak very, very closely, and we have a personal attachment to the Rivers community, as many do here in Neepawa. Our grandson lives there, but the town is safe, but they have evacuated as of today, being July 3rd, when we tape this show is that they've evacuated a lot of people downstream from the dam, because the dam at Rivers, Lake Waddapana Dam, was built the same time as the Lake Irwin Dam, 1960, 58, 59, 60 in there, as well as the dam at Morden was built. Minnewaska, I believe, Lake, is that correct?
Yeah, I think so.
But anyway, they were built back in the day as a water retention, as water source for communities, perhaps for irrigation in mind on some of that, but also for recreation. And all of those lakes are used or have been used for recreational purposes over the years. The dam at Minnedosa came into question too, and they're watching it awfully closely. But I did talk to you yesterday about Lake Irwin, so maybe we put it on Facebook, we put it out there what your response was, but for our viewers' benefit here, Blake, maybe tell us a little bit about what you know, which isn't maybe everything at this time, but what you know about Lake Irwin.
Yeah, you're right. We have had people come with concerns about Lake Irwin, and I know I've seen pictures again from drones and planes that went up. There is a tremendous amount of water at Brookdale, and that water does eventually get its way to Lake Irwin. But again, we have been sitting on the conference calls with the experts, and they're saying that Lake Irwin is not at the 2011 levels, even close. They say it has the ability to take a lot more water, so they are comfortable with that water that is coming from Brookdale, that it will be fine. But you're right, there have been people, we've had phone calls saying, oh no, what about the dam at Lake Irwin? Is it in a, and no, everything we're being told is that we're good to go.
Okay, yeah, because it all comes through here. I mean,
it all comes through here, that's right.
See, there's something that I've never really fully determined, and there is a number of different opinions on this, is that where does the White Mud River begin? And Stony Creek merges, like, I forget now, what's the other creek that's here? The one that comes out of Lake Irwin anyway. Yeah. Where it merges is, I think, officially the start of the White Mud River. So. Anyway.
Yeah, I was told that Stony Creek is right there where the old Mountain Road store was, right? You just go a little bit past that.
That's where it starts, eh?
And it comes, and then it breaks both ways, right? It comes east or it comes west, and it's about a 600-foot drop as it gets to Neepawa, and that's why they say when it gets here, if it's coming with any force and if it hasn't been held up,
yeah, it's moving.
It's moving.
Yeah,
yes,
no, for sure. And I believe there's also a 600-foot drop between Neepawa and Gladstone too.
Yes.
It seems impossible that there'd be that much of a drop, but that's what I was told years ago, that there's that much of a drop. Well, the Park Lake Bridge, so just so people understand the geography here, you can access Park Lake, or you could, on foot by going past the water treatment plant, out the walking trail, across the footbridge, and that would take you to the Park Lake picnic ground, the bird sanctuary, that sort of thing. Most people go the other way down First Street.
Yes.
First. And down First Street, and that road is cut at the bridge, right? Yep. And pictures of the bridge, so that it's not only breached at both ends, but it's kind of sitting like this.
That's exactly
it's got a definite list to the north, and that bridge has been a matter of controversy, or a subject of controversy, for a long time, because it's an expensive bridge to replace. But we have been told over the years that that bridge wouldn't carry the Neepawa fire truck, but I don't know if we've ever had to test that. We'll have to send Mark Morehouse across that one and see if
we'll try that. That's a good idea. I'll give Mark a call.
But his car, right now, his car would have to have wings to cross that. So that bridge is an old bridge.
Yes.
God knows how old it is. And it's toast.
It's toast. It's done. Yep.
Yeah. So that's going to be a very expensive thing. So the trail that Mayor Blake is talking about goes in behind, off of some of the Bray farmland, and comes in behind and would join up with the Park Lake Road, I guess, east of the bridge, so to speak.
Yes.
And so that people could get in and out to look after the birds and animals at the bird sanctuary. So that's going to take a little while to get that punched through too, I guess.
Yeah, I'm saying yes. Like I said, Denis just said he was waiting for hydro, so I don't know what was that involved with, but yeah, so. That's
Well,
where we're at
it's
there.
hydro right away along there.
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
I'm pretty
Okay.
sure.
Oh,
that-
yeah. No, you'd
I
be
think
right.
that
Yeah.
might be the issue
Yeah,
there. Is that
no.
there's a hydro right of way, so
Yeah.
that would be. I'm sure people, like you say, are using quads to get in.
Yeah,
out
they are.
anyway,
Yes.
because it is an emergency situation. But the Park Lake Bridge is going to have to replace, and it's going to be a very expensive situation there. So that brings us around to a topic that has already come up in discussion personally and on Facebook, and Mayor Blake and I talked about this a little bit yesterday. If you look at Park Lake now, it's obviously not a lake anymore. It's a muddy flats with a fairly active river flowing
Yes.
through it.
Yeah.
Don't walk in that river. The pelicans are there, quite confused about it all. The geese have kind of said, "We're out of here." Like, this is, we don't know who stole our lake, but we're gone. The pelicans are still hanging on there because I guess there's some kind of little fish and stuff
Oh,
in
maybe.
there.
Okay, makes sense.
Well, they
Okay.
were feeding like crazy the other day. There,
Okay,
they
okay.
aren't sticking around for no good reason, but they're kind of sitting there like, "Who took my lake?" Anyway, whatever. I make a pretty good.
Yeah, I didn't want to comment on that, but yeah.
Anyway, that's the old red skeleton
Oh,
routine.
yeah, that's right, yeah.
Well, they were the seagulls there, Gertrude and Heathcliff.
Yes, that's right.
Anyway, nobody remembers that.
No.
Anyway, whatever. So, 200 years ago, 100 years ago, 120 years ago, I guess now 130 years ago, Park Lake wasn't Park Lake.
That's correct.
It was Stony Creek.
Yes, that's
Just
exactly
like
correct.
the Stony Creek goes through all the way, like you say, up to Mountain Road area. So the question now becomes, what do you do with Park Lake? And I guess one of the things is, if the dam or the berm were to be rebuilt, before it would be rebuilt, I would think that someone would want to take a very serious engineering look at the spillway.
I agree with you.
Because the spillway is, we have a crude way of, but it looks to me like a day-old McDonald's hamburger. All the layers kind of,
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
it rocks and
No, you're right. This is going to, and again, I just sat with Denis and Colleen this morning. We just had a quick talk about it, and I mean, obviously, council will talk about it too. But this will be a big decision, and it will be a lengthy decision, right? Because you're right. I mean, this is, for whatever reasons, I mean, it's unfortunate the way it occurred, but this is the perfect opportunity now to make a decision. I mean, over the years, they have talked about dredging it, and that's something that will come back to the table maybe now. There's no quick fix here. I don't think we're going to see that lake filling anytime soon. And then once we do make whatever decision you're making, you're right, Ken, there's going to be a lot of discussion out there. What is going to be the future of Park Lake? I mean, you're right, it was built for a steam plant to produce electricity, but now we have the opportunity to turn it into something different if we want, right?
yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot of expense there. Like, there's a huge expense even just to fill in the berm.
Yes, oh, for sure.
And if there was a big rain in July, late July or August, or next year, and there will be another big rain
I
at
know,
some
there
point,
will be.
who's to say that won't wash out again?
I know, I agree with you.
And if you don't fix the spillway is going to blow someday.
Yes, I agree with
mean,
that.
maybe it might take a few years, but the spillway is going to blow. So someone who's been in the community a long time, who will go unnamed, but they will be, I'm sure they'll offer, they're a very gentle person in the way they offer their opinions.
Yep.
But the opinion was given to me that, why not make it back into a river? You know, it's a Stony Creek. If you did nothing, Blake, right now, if you
Yes.
did nothing, in 2 years you'd hardly know there'd been a lake there.
That's correct.
Because the trees will grow up, the bulrushes will grow up, there'll be all kinds of growth in there, and there'll be lots of birds and all that kind of stuff. But one of the big questions is the bird sanctuary needs some water. So I don't know, I'm just spitballing as you hear.
Well, I'm like you, Ken. I don't know. Like I've had people say to me, "Well, Blake, yes, you could turn it back into a river, but that retention area of that Park Lake was important because when that water was rushing down from Stony Creek, it got held there, right? And then it got pushed over the dam, and then if there was no retention area there, that water would just come ripping right through, and they believe that will be a problem. But I'll be honest, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't have enough information yet. We're just at early days, as you say, and there's going to have to be a lot of discussions made about. And the other I'm sure some people will step up and say, well, no, we should turn it back more into a recreational lake, right? Make it so that people can put boats on it, kayaks on it, canoes on it, right? Let's turn it back when we have the opportunity now. Let's do something with it. But you're right. I mean, there's going to be a lot of discussion that's going to occur over here over the next few months.
Well, if it's going to be a lake, it's certainly going to be dredged.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, because you can walk across that thing and not
Yeah.
get your knees wet
Yes,
some of the time.
Yes, that's right.
Except
And
in the river, of
yeah,
course.
yeah.
The river
And if we're
bed.
going to dredge it, I'm just learning this, but dredging's usually done when it's colder and you're getting the first frost. So, I mean, the information I'm being told is this might be left like this till next spring. So, I mean, but again, I don't know. I'm just learning.
Well, I think that there's a lot of opportunity here to make that area into something beautiful.
Yes.
Whereas it's been nice, but it's not been beautiful.
Right.
And it's certainly that shallow water gives you problems with algae and
Yep.
no circulation.
Yep.
There's very little circulation
No,
through
I
there.
agree with that.
You can tell that by the way the mud flats are,
Yeah.
that it's just silted in. Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with the idea that the retention is needed now that the diking is in place here in town. The surge wouldn't be. Well, the surge came because the dam broke.
That's correct.
Or, I shouldn't say that. A big chunk of the surge
Yes.
came because the dam
No,
broke.
no, that's right. Yeah.
Not because of the normal flow of the river.
No, you're right.
But anyway, maybe the channel could be deepened a little bit or whatever. I don't know. There's quite a drop there from where it's crossing into what is now the river to down the river. It's quite a drop there. So maybe it could be something done with that.
And
But-
as you said it right at the very beginning, Ken, it's going to be about money. Like,
Oh,
where is
heavens.
all this money going to come from? I mean, do the federales have any money? Does the provincial money? And again, those things can take a long time for those processes to work their way through. So do we have the time to sit and wait? A lot of those monies, you can't get it afterwards. You have to, have your project ready to go. So yeah, we're just, like I said, we're just in early days, Ken.
Well, and you have another huge project on the northeast corner of town with the bike park and
Yep.
the trails and
Yep.
everything there and the
Yep.
water treatment
Yeah,
plant.
and the
'cause
lagoon, yep.
You're not done with that
No,
project
we're not
yet
done
either.
with that. No.
Yeah.
No, and I mean now they're talking that we're starting to again the government's starting to question. And again we don't know this, Ken, but I mean I think everybody's starting to understand now with High Life being taken over, bought out, that they're starting to maybe think about expanding again too, right? So that's going to bring another whole new set of discussions into place, right, about water and yeah, lagoons and you're right. It's I've said it before, sitting at this, not with you, but with Don Walmsley. I mean, it's an exciting time to be in Neepawa, right? I mean, we're not like lots of communities that are trying to figure out how to survive and how to collect enough property taxes so that they can take care of their infrastructure. I mean, we're a town that's expanded by, we're going to double here in the next 10 years. I mean, it gives us lots of opportunity, lots of growth, and lots of exciting opportunities. But I mean, with opportunities come a lot of challenges, right? And you're right. Now we got a lot of balls in the air, right? I mean, with the flood damage, with the lagoon, with maybe more treated water necessary, the bike park. Yeah, there's lots going on. Our new CN development, our new 46 units out there. I mean, that's getting closer to getting underway, and yeah, it's busy times.
Well, this whole deal with the just one thing I want to make clear on the sewage process is that the sewage treatment or the wastewater treatment plant at High Life, formerly Spring Hill, it's called R3, I think that's still the name.
Yep.
And it was about a $22 million touch, but only about $1 million,
Yeah.
only about $1 million or $1.5 million of town money went
That's
into
correct.
that.
That's right,
The
Ken.
rest was provincial money or High Life money.
Yep.
And so if they expand there and need more wastewater treatment at the High Life plant, it won't go into the town lagoons.
No, I don't know.
It's a separate system.
That's exactly correct.
Yeah. But if we have more houses and another industry, then the lagoons or
Yes.
the treatment plant that's built there now will have to take on some more capacity. I can relate to you a personal story here that shows the potential for growth in Neepawa. 3 or 4 years ago, right or wrong, we bought another house in Neepawa,
Okay.
and we had it as a rental property. A couple of different people we wanted to work with and whatever, but it came to a point this spring where we decided that we would sell it. So we put it on the market at what we thought was kind of the right price, or maybe a little more than the right price, whatever, because you always can come down, you can't go up, right? And we literally had 16 people ask if they could see the house, and we're looking at putting an offer on that home. It has sold, and the possession date is set, and it's all through now. And that was just a little house, double lot, but a little house near the school, near the high school, mind you, that 16 people wanted to take a look at it. And so there is a huge demand for housing
Absolutely.
here in Neepawa.
Absolutely.
And what people don't understand all the time, well, many do, is that when you bring in, when we built the care home back in about 2005, I say we, I was on council, but we as a community built
Yes.
the care home. They cut back to 100 beds from 120.
That's correct.
And I argued with them at the time, and I said, there's an economic development aspect to this thing. And they said, well, economic development isn't our thing, healthcare is. But what happens is that when you have a medical clinic, when you have a care home, when you have a high school, when you have a hospital, people will come here and their parents will follow them here
That's correct.
because they want to be near the kids.
Yep.
And
that's
the
right.
grandkids.
And the grandkids.
And so, and look after the grandkids and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But what happens, you're a grandpa, you know all about it.
I know all about that.
Yeah, and what happens is that then the grandparents get a little older and they go to the care home. We could probably use another 50 beds of a care home right now. I guess we're getting some more seniors type housing, it looks like. We haven't been able to talk about that yet, but we're going to talk about it soon.
Yes.
I've been promised that we can talk about
That's
that
good
soon.
to know. I'm
Yeah.
glad to hear that.
Yeah. So when I know something, I'll tell you.
Okay, perfect.
But the town is definitely growing, and one of the reasons it is growing, it's the same reason it's been growing for the last 120 years, is because of the location. There's one factor. This will stump you. There's one reason this town is growing.
Okay.
Barley.
Okay.
You have to have barley to feed the pigs.
Okay.
You have to have pigs to have a hog plant.
Yes, you do.
So without barley, we're done. Now, and beer, of course.
That's the one that crossed my mind
Yeah,
to start
no,
with.
yeah. Anyway, so what do you think going forward then, Blake? What are your thoughts? What do you think should happen to Park Lake, for example? Do you have a
Oh,
any
I
kind
don't
of a
know. I don't
preliminary
have,
idea?
yeah, early days. I don't have a strong opinion yet. I guess my first instinct would be you talk to anyone in government or anyone in other towns. Top priorities in towns now are green space.
Yeah.
Green space is so tremendously important, and the other top priority is drainage. So here we are. We got both. So I would suggest my first instinct would be that it would be nice to view that as how that might become a setting for recreation. But I mean, that's all going to be based upon the ability to do it and the ability to finance it, Ken. I mean, money will be I hate to say it, but money will be the big push behind
Well, I dare say you could probably put $3 million into
Oh.
there and not even breathe
I
heavy
know.
doing it.
That's right. And I mean, obviously, that's something the town of Neepawa can't do. So, I mean, unless we have partners federally, provincially, yeah, we're going to be hard pressed. But that would be my initial instinct.
Well, I go back to something I said earlier there. If we do nothing,
Yep.
it will become green space.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Within
Yep.
we may not like it.
Yep.
And it might be a little rough and bumpy.
Yeah.
But it will become green space within 2 years.
Yeah.
In fact, the bulrushes will be growing there by fall.
Yeah, it's amazing. Have you seen the drone pictures? You can see the river exactly where it is there.
Yeah.
It's amazing after all those years. That riverbed is still there, right?
Yeah. No, there's tremendous forest there, and it was interesting. So you've got a lot of projects. You've been mayor now for 2 years.
We're getting close to 2 years, yeah.
Coming up 2 years. Priorities are going to be cleaning up the mess.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Paying for it somehow.
Yes, paying for it somehow.
What's the next big step with the sewage treatment, do you think? There was you just had a grant come through from the government on that to help finish something there.
Yeah,
or
you're
finish
talking
off
about the lagoon now.
Yeah, the
yeah,
lagoon, yeah.
that's right. Yeah, no, we're getting very close there. Actually, we were out there as a council 2 weeks ago. We toured the new building out there in the facility. I mean, I know it's taken a long time and everything has moved slower, which is not unusual in the world we live in. But yeah, I mean, that's coming this fall, next spring, that the new lagoon will be coming on stream, and I mean, it's going to be a pretty spectacular. I mean, again, we were it's something new, right? It's not the typical 3 ponds. It's water that moves all the time. It's water that you only need a small area to work with. So that's worked out really well. And the beauty of it is you can expand. I mean, right now it's built for 7,500 people. But you can quickly add on more equipment, throw more discs in the water, and you can be up to 9,000, 10,000, 11,000. So it's a remarkable decision they made, and that was the previous council and the previous the administration staff. So good for them to do that. But again, the next problem coming now is going to be treated water. Do we have enough treated water? So now that's the next discussion, right? Are we going to build a reservoir, an area that we can contain water, right? Whether it be 2 million liters or 3 million liters or gallons or whatever it's going to be.
So then we're wandering a little bit away from
Yeah.
flood damage here, but it is important when you're faced with a crisis is what kind of things, because if you change something over here, it's going to affect something over there.
Yes.
So how about the water tower? Where are we at with that? That thing's been old for
Yeah,
years.
and again, the government has got a lot of money they're trying to get out the door, and that is actually one thing we're talking about, Ken. That's actually one thing that we might be able to get under the umbrella of the money they're willing to give out. So we might be revisiting that and maybe doing some work at the water tower. But again, that's early days. Yes.
Wow. So there's an awful lot on your plate right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not me, obviously. I mean, it's council, it's administration. I mean, yeah, you're right. But I mean, I still think it's better. I mean, it's like being in business, right? You always want all the work you can have, and you'll figure out how to do it. And it's better than not wondering what you're going to do. So, yeah, no, we're very fortunate that way. But you're right, there's lots going on.
Yeah. So, right, I guess going forward here now, there will be the cleanup. How long will the state of emergency remain in place? Do
you know what? That's a good question. I haven't had that discussion. I guess we will have to sit down and have that. I don't know that. And you're right, going back to the cleanup, that is going to be, we were again just talking about that today. We're going to start looking at some of our streets that have got a lot of mud on them, and they're going to get that out. We've already had some inquiries about Riverbend there, inquiries at the golf course. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of mud and stuff, and I mean, yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard to get this all cleaned up, right, so that things can get back to business.
Well, one of the things that probably will have to be looked at too, and I know based on every time there's a flood of the golf course, they do some remediation, so it's not as they're not getting, I don't think, getting the gouging that they used to get in the fairways and stuff. But again, that's a lot of that land out there is very vulnerable. You mentioned just as we're coming to the close of the program here, you mentioned about the sewage lagoons, or so the 2 westerly lagoons will be.
Yes. Yeah, one will be turned into a retention pond. It'll be for water from the storm showers.
Right.
And the other one is going to be that is being looked at for development. But you're right. Yeah.
And is one going to be for a composting
yes,
site?
that's the one. Sorry. Yes,
okay.
Ken. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
So those will be used up, and then of course, yep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because the composting thing has been, although it gets a little messy once in a while, has been quite a successful thing. It's been going for quite a few years, but it's been quite a successful thing.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. So the province will, you should say you don't know how much money they're going to send, or what percentage they're going to
I should
send.
mention we had Minister Clark here yesterday. Eileen Clark was here yesterday. She went on tour. We got her in the car and she drove around and she saw everything that was going on in the town. So it was good for her. She was on her way back from Rivers, and they'd had obviously some huge issues there. So it was good of her to stop here, and so she's well aware of what's going on in the town of Neepawa.
Okay, for the people watching either now on this live broadcast or when we rebroadcast, I think that as someone who has been in Mayor Blake's chair, I want to put out something there to the general public, and that is that if you're going to whine and bitch about what's going on, please stay home. Okay, that's simple. But if you have good constructive ideas, and I can say that, I'm not running for office, I'm not in office anymore, and I don't think I'll ever be running for office ever again. But I have a couple of occasions here, even recently in this story, where people were just going off on the town staff, and maybe you've had some people yell at you too, Blake, but whatever. It does no good, okay? We're in the state of emergency, and we're in an ongoing state of emergency, really, when you listen to all the things that we have to do as a community, that we need to do as a community, that in fact we want to do as a community in terms of housing development, wastewater treatment, sourcing more water for growth of the town, seeing some more growth in the town, being able to accommodate expansion of our existing industries, or maybe even be an inviting place for new industries. We don't need the whining, the moaning, and the bitching, okay? Simple as that. It's not the mayor speaking, it's the former mayor speaking, it's the editor of the paper speaking, okay? Don't need that. But if you do have constructive ideas, and God knows we're going to need all the ideas we can as we go forward here, please get a hold of me. You can phone me at Neepawa Banner and Press, 476-3401. You can call the town of Neepawa, 476-7600. That's 476-7600. And you can get a message through to the appropriate staff person, to a councillor, or to Mayor Blake. And he's a very visible guy around, but you know, he's getting kind of old and fragile like I am here, and so you got to look after him. He's a good mayor. Let's look after him, okay? And I'm saying that tongue-in-cheek, but I'm also serious as well, because people in public office, people in public service have feelings too, and some people figure they can just torque on them and it's their right and their privilege. Better not do it when I'm around, okay? Because you'll have to deal with me. Anyway, thank you very much, Blake, for being with us.
Oh, thanks for inviting me. That was great.
I know it's tough for you to take at this time to take an hour out of your day to do this, but I appreciate it. And so, as I say, if you want to talk to people about this, thank you for watching NAC TV. This program has been produced by Jeremy Vogt, who does a tremendous job in the switching office there, and he's doing tremendous work for NAC TV, and we thank him for it. If you want to get a hold of me, as I say, 476-3401. If you want to get hold of the town office, 476-7600. Just in our closing minute or so, Blake, do you have any closing comments you'd like to?
Yeah, again, just to go back to the very beginning, I just want to say thanks to just everybody. I mean, and again, just what you said just a few minutes ago. I mean, yeah, so much respect to the administration staff, the town staff, RCMP, fire department, all the volunteers. Yeah, no, it was a great effort, and yeah, no, it's a great community. And you're right, there's always going to be a few people that are not happy with what we do, but it's no different than being in business. You just got to remember that most of the people you deal with are pretty great. So
yeah. Well, thank you for that again. Thank you for taking time to be with us. And this is an NAC TV production. I'm Ken Waddell, publisher of the Neepawa Banner and Press, and enjoyed being the host for today's program. And again, thank you to Mayor Blake for being here. Thank you all for watching, and be sure and get a hold of us with your constructive criticism. Thank you.